Now, from the Action 4 studios, the best high school coverage from all over the Rio Grande Valley. It's time for Sunday Night Sports Extra.
It is time for Sunday Sports Extra, and welcome to our first one of the 2015 season. Hi, I'm Action 4 Sports Director Clay Williams. With me on the opposite side, it is Action 4 Sports Reporter Joe Bowling, and in the middle, it's our special guest, one of two special guests we've got today. It's Mario Aguirre from The Monitor. Mario, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Clay.
All right, we've got a lot of football to talk about, so let's get to it. And let's start last night with San Benito and McAllen Memorial. This was supposed to be happening on Friday night, but the rains came down, and so we got postponed until 6 o'clock on Saturday. And boy, everybody's glad that this one did not get canceled because it was a humdinger. Check out Trevor Spates taking it into the end zone as the sun is still up at Veterans Memorial Stadium. A little bump right there with his quarterback. And then, hey, J.R. Gaitan is the real deal as a quarterback for San Benito. He was getting it done, and San Benito was hanging with the Memorial Mustangs. You could check it out right there. And this one was pretty tight at halftime. But then in the second half, it's all about Trevor Spates. He was running and running mad. Watch him stop right here and just, he decides to lower that shoulder and go into somebody. Trevor Spates has his best game ever in his high school career. 373 yards, 5 touchdowns, and McAllen Memorial wins 63-44.
Just a phenomenal night. Ran with a lot of authority. Ran real smart. Did a lot of good things. We knew that they were going to be flowing fast, so we told him to look for some cutbacks. And he found 2-3 cutbacks for touchdown. He had a heck of a ball game. Probably the best game of his career, really and truly.
Whenever I play with the purpose, I get kind of mad. So I take all my anger out on the defense, and that's what I did today.
Man, I wouldn't want that anger being taken out on me. Check it out. Spates with an incredible 373 yards, 5 touchdowns. That means for the season, he is at 847 yards and 10 touchdowns. He doubled his touchdowns last night. For his career, 7,515 yards. That puts him within striking distance of the great Heisman Trophy winner Billy Sims from Hooks, Texas, and the University of Oklahoma. And look how close he is to catching Bradley Stevens and the all-time Valley career mark of 7,803. Joe, let's start with you on this. Last night, was that the best you've ever seen Trevor Spates run?
Yeah, and it started early on, Clay, because of the fact that the kid was running over people. I've been watching it from last year, the transition into this year, and he was starting to deliver more hits as a lead blocker, and now as a ball carrier, he's delivering the same kind of crushing blows. And what happened in that football game, it went from being very close to being lights out, a blowout, because of Trevor Spates in the second half was running over people. San Benito's defense was flat out wore out.
Mario, what can Trevor Spates do for an offense? It's a tight game. It's a back and forth game. All of a sudden, the punishment just continues and gets even worse in the second half. It's enough to demoralize the defense.
Yeah, and I think, too, this year you see that he's a little bit bigger. I think that's one of the things for his senior year. I think he's proved just about everything he could going into his senior year, and I think at this point you just want to see those extra bruising hits that could show that he could be able to play at the next level.
Well, those bruising hits, is Coach Littleton worried that Spates might get bruised at any point in this time, Joe?
Well, I talked to him after the game. I was like, hey, 34 carries. That, as far as I knew, was the most he had carried. And he's like, listen, he's 205 pounds. He's feeling on top of the world. And we've got a horse. We need to ride him. And he's certainly capable of going the race. And so I don't think he's too worried about him at all.
I don't think so either. This McAllen Memorial team playing with a chip on their shoulder. Their motto this year is remember the feeling. It's not remember the feeling of winning, it's remember the feeling of losing in the first round, because that's what they've done 3 straight years. This team is ready to go to the playoffs. Meanwhile, it was a playoff type atmosphere last night in La Jolla as Rio Grande City took on Palmview. Mario Aguirre, you were there. What an incredible game for Rio Grande City and Palmview. Rio Grande City's really surprising some people this year. They win last night 35-34 in or what was the final score? I know it was 1 point.
35-34.
35-34 in overtime. Palmview went for the 2-point conversion to try and win it in the first overtime, but Rio Grande City gets the win. What struck you most about this game?
I think the biggest thing was that Rio Grande City was able to overcome a lot of the opportunities that it had missed, whether it was recovering a fumble, scoring and then having it called back, or just a lot of missed opportunities for Rio Grande City. They were persistent, and even though the box score showed that that Palmview should have won this game, just Rio Grande City came up with big stops, stopped extra point attempts, 2-point conversions. They just stopped and came up with a lot of big stops.
What does this say about this Rio Grande City team? A loss to Port Isabel, a win against Ingleside, a win against Palmview. Where do you see them coming into district play?
Well, I think Rio Grande City had a touchdown that was called back against PI. If not for that, they would have been 3-0 at this point. And I think we would have looked at Rio Grande City a little bit differently. So I think in their heads, they know that they should be 3-0.
Joe, real quick, two coaches over the weekend went for two in either at an overtime or at the end of a game to try and get the win. Is that what you want to do, especially in non-district play?
Especially in non-district play. You want to put your kids' mindset that we are playing to win football games, not to get to overtime, not to play close. We want to win this football game. I'm putting full trust in whoever I call this play on to execute, get it done, and why not do it right now and get them ready for when district play does happen?
Why not? That is our first segment right here on Sunday Sports Extra. We are coming right back. We are talking lots of 31-5A. Yeah, we already talked about Rio Grande City, but what about the Gladiators out in Stark County as well? They put a big hurting on the district champion from 29-5A. Plus, we're also talking about one of the surprise teams from 31-5A as well. It's all when we come back.